Hi guys, Mark here for KetoKitchenCollection.com, and today's question is, what did you find easiest and hardest about going on a keto diet? So for me, what was easiest, that's pretty easy, and that was keeping my food intake low and my calorie level low. Now, for whatever reason, and I have looked into this, I've tried to research it and study it, I think a lot of people have, and I haven't found a definitive answer yet. For whatever reason, when you're on a keto diet, you're in ketosis, your hunger is dented really quite significantly. Your body might be hungry, but you don't have that same gnawing feeling of hunger where you just have to eat something. And it got to a point where I just wasn't taking in enough food, at least initially when I started my first testing ketosis and the keto diet some years ago. I think it was a stint for about 5 or 6 weeks, and for the first week, I just wasn't eating enough food. I had a goal of around 1,500 calories a day, which is too low, and admittedly, I eat more than that, and that did ultimately become a problem, which I'll discuss in just a moment. But even at 1,500 calories a day, I'd get to the end of the day initially when I was starting out, and I might have been just at 1,000 calories, and I kind of had to force feed myself those extra calories to make sure I was getting enough, because I didn't want my metabolism to slow down way too much, because then everything would just stall out and give me a whole bunch of other problems. Again, I'll get to that in just a moment. So that was the easiest thing, was keeping myself in check with regards to not overeating. Now, you likely won't be any different to me. I'm not any different to anybody else. I'm not special. It's just that that's the effect that ketosis can have in stopping you being as hungry as you normally would be on any other diet. Again, I don't know exactly why that is. I'm still trying to figure it out. If any of you know how ketosis affects the hunger hormone specifically, and why you don't get that same level of hunger that you would when you're eating carbohydrates or on any other diet, then please post up your thoughts, give us some links, help us all learn. That would be fantastic. I'll keep looking into that, of course, and if I do figure it out, I'll be sure to let you guys know. What was the hardest thing about going on a keto diet? Well, there's two parts to this, and the first one is the keto transition. Some people call it the keto flu, when you're going from your body running on carbohydrates, which of course is called glycolysis, shifting over into ketosis, where your body's running on fats for fuel. That transition can be tough. Now, for me, that transition, or the keto flu as we'll call it, that keto flu for me lasts about 3 days, maybe 4, and each day is kind of characterized by slightly different things. You might get headaches, you might get irritable, you'll get carb cravings, some days you might feel lethargic, and that was tough. And for a couple of days there, I was really thinking, is the keto diet for me? Is this something I can get through? Is this even normal? It's really tough when you haven't done it before. And look, I've experimented with the keto diet many years ago, maybe even close to 2 decades ago. I couldn't remember what I experienced back then. I wasn't even sure if I was doing it correctly back then. The internet wasn't really a thing to try and figure out exactly what was right, what was wrong, and to get other people's perspectives and their experiences to learn from before you leap into it. But even just in the last few years, when I started the ketogenic diet, it was tough going through the keto flu. And it wasn't until I got to the other side and felt so much better that I realized, yeah, okay, it's almost like a rite of passage. You've got to go through it. It's just your body adjusting. It's not that I'm any different to anybody else. It's not that I'm doing anything wrong. It's just a part of the process. So that was tough. Expect that when you go into ketosis, that is going to be something you'll go through. Just know that you've got to weather the storm for a handful of days, maybe 3, 4, perhaps 5 days, and you'll get through the other side, I guarantee you. There are ways that you can speed up that transition, going from glycolysis into ketosis and shorten keto flu. If you'd like me to do a video on that, please put your comment down below and let me know, or send me a message. There will be a link below for you to send me any questions you have, especially if you want me to include your question in a video like this. I'm more than happy to do so. So get in contact with me any way you'd like if you're interested in me explaining how you can speed up that ketosis process and shorten the keto flu. The second thing that was the most difficult for me with regards to going onto a keto diet, especially in the beginning, and this ties in with the lack of hunger, the hardest thing was having lethargy when I was probably towards the end, maybe about, let's see, 4 to 5 weeks in. And it was simply because I wasn't eating enough. Now, I didn't know what it was at the time, so I started researching, of course, on YouTube and Google, and you see all the people who are, you know, self-styled gurus. Some of them are very good, some of them not so much. And ultimately what it would come down to, what I would find a lot of people saying, is that if you're feeling lethargic and sort of unmotivated and just sluggish, that, you know, you might need extra vitamin K, or you might need more folate, or you might need whatever it is. And look, I'm just picking these things out of my head. I don't know if those specific things will have anything to do. I can't recall what they were suggesting for, you know, picking up your energy levels. I tried all these things. I tried what was suggested. I was already taking a good quality multivitamin, which I suggest everybody does on a keto diet. I was already supplementing with my electrolytes, which I suggest everybody does on a keto diet. The micronutrients for me weren't a problem. I was probably actually overdoing the micronutrients just to make sure I was keeping myself as healthy as possible. So adding in more micronutrients wasn't really doing anything for me, despite what everyone out there was saying. And ultimately I thought, well, if I'm not on a keto diet and I feel sluggish throughout the day and I feel tired and I've got no energy, what sort of thing is it that I'm experiencing that could be causing this? And I thought, well, it's probably because I just haven't eaten for a while. You know, if you skip lunch for whatever reason, you're too busy at work, or you're too busy chasing the kids around, or whatever it might be, and you just haven't eaten, you feel flat, you know, you don't have the energy. So I thought, well, maybe I should be bumping up the calories that I'm eating, just eat more food. And as soon as I did that, I was on about 1,500 calories a day, and that was too low. That was the problem. My metabolism was slowing right down. It was putting me into starvation mode. It didn't want me to starve and die, basically. That's what your body does when you drop your calories too low, which is okay for me. I know some of you can go lower than that and you're fine. Everyone's individual. But I bumped my calories up maybe 300 or 400 each day, and it changed. It was different. My energy came back. I mean, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't as good as it had been. I think I'd already done the damage by that time, or not damage as such, but I'd already pushed my metabolism too low, and excuse that, neighbours. I'd already pushed my calories too low, but at least I found that eating more did help. But that was tough for me to figure out, you know, and there will be things that you experience. You'll have to excuse that truck as well. There will be things that you'll experience that are unusual. You'll have to try and figure it out the best you can by going through YouTube and Google and identifying whatever it might be, and then just experiment with different things. Don't be afraid to experiment with different things and try and figure out what the solution is to your particular problem. So they were the easiest thing was keeping my calories low and in check. The hardest thing was being lethargic because I had my calories too low ultimately, and I had to bump them up, and also going through that keto flu, which I can certainly give you pointers on if you'd like to know more about that. So what's your experience with the things that have been the easiest and the hardest for you on the keto diet? I'd like to know. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'd like to hear your experiences. So would everyone else for that matter, so we can all learn from what you've experienced on your keto journey. If you do have any specific questions, or if you'd like me to cover one of your questions in a video like this, there is a link below. It'll take you straight to my website where you can there'll be a contact form. You just got to fill in your details, hit send, and I'll get that immediately. So yeah, thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching the video through this far. And again, my name's Mark from Keto Kitchen Collection, and I'll see you on the next one.